Well, this is new.
Illustrations by me.
You know, it amazes me. Watercolor has been around for so long. And people realize that, oh, you can dry it and take it with you and then just wet it where you are and use it again. And people caught on to that, and we have been using watercolor for a very long time in portable, transportable palettes. That's how you say that. And still, it amazes me how companies, not people, they are people, but their companies continue to innovate and say, no, I think you can do it like this and take it with you like this. And Phoenix sent me this. It's supposed to be a watercolor pocket set. You're not getting this in your pocket, but they mean a travel set. That's what they mean. Now they do something. So let me discuss this with you. Thank you. Finally, they let me know immediately. These are not our professional grade watercolor. But you know what they didn't call them? They didn't call them student grade watercolor. You know I can't stand that phrase. That's not what they call it. What do they call it? Well, they call it their travel set, but they also call it of artist grade watercolor. Now, I understand some people may be a little bit upset about that because most other companies will say student grade and artist grade. So you have a company that says now artist grade, these are artist grade paints, there's travel set artist grade paints, but this is our professional line over here. People will say, oh, well, that's a deceiving thing. It's not at all. What I'm saying is they may want to consider, and I'm sending them this video, they're going to see it before you do, but they may consider changing that name and not saying artist grade on them, but they shouldn't change it to student grade. I'll tell you that. That's definitely wrong. What they should say is that these are a travel set. These are the travel paints. And people know, or sketchbook paints, or sketching paints, or something like that. Then people know, hey, okay, they're not the professional line over here. There's something different. But they've achieved that by saying these are the artist grade, but these are our professional. Some people will not like that. I know that. But I'm saying I like it a lot more than when a company calls something a student grade when it acts differently than the other ones. Now, the reason that I like that these are called artist grade is because when I, as an artist, who's someone who paints all the time, and anybody who paints is an artist. I don't care if it's your first time picking up a brush. You pick up the brush, you dip it in the paint, you put it on the page, you're an artist. Anyway, but someone who is already familiar with watercolor and how it works and has used professional grades and you understand how they act and how they work, you say, oh no, this will be harder to use. No, it's not, because I already know how to use watercolor paint. So I've had experience using many different types across many different platforms and companies and all this. I know how to use this. There will be someone in the comments, there will be many people in the comments arguing with me. Don't worry about it. I'm saying, listen, all I'm saying is what I prefer. You can argue all you want. This is what I prefer, is that you call it something else other than student grade, and that's what they did. And thank you for that, because that's what I've been asking companies to do for a while now. So someone finally did it. Thank you. Now, let's get into what it actually looks like. It's easier for me to show you in a top-down view because this thing here, I'll pull this out here. This is what it looks like. It's a set that kind of sits on top of themselves. It has a little thing up here that opens, but then after that you just pop it off, and you pop off every layer, and then you can connect them. You can connect them on they're not this side. You can connect them on the side like this and just connect them all in a row. You can connect them front and back. I'm going to show you in the top-down view. It looks a lot nicer, so you can see it a lot better. But you can put them together like this and twist them, and now they're locked together like this. Of course, this needs to be open like this, and you see that they are the same height like that. So yeah, you can do it, and then put the other ones on the sides here, and you can do it however you want. It's like Legos for an artist. That's what these are, and just doing that is kind of cathartic. Anyway, what I would probably do, and I will show you on the bottom here, No, that's not the right. Yeah, it is. Okay, on the bottom here, there's a mixing palette that sits off to this, or a sponge, I'm sorry. There's a little sponge on the bottom. You take it off, stick it on the side. I'll show you. And then you have the little water bucket. A portable water bucket's already under there. And so is the a little portable watercolor brush, which I will use at one point just to show you. I'll use it in the painting, not in the swatching. And then you remember that we went over these already, but I'm going to show them to you again. They sent me this set of the quill brushes, and I'm going to actually test the... I think I'm going to take the largest one and the smallest one, which happen to be an 8 and a 0, and just show you, do a test with them on how much water it holds and how much you can keep going, and whether they're good. You know how you can tell if something's good or not? Which I will repeat myself multiple times, I'm sure. When you dip a watercolor brush in the paint and you're painting with it, if you touch it to the page and it dumps all the water, and as you go, now you have just a streak of watered out paint, that's not good. On the contrary, on the other side of that, if you start putting it down and it just dumps the water part but not the paint, just puts down a very thin layer, but then when you lift it up, it drops all the paint out. That's also not what you want. And these will not do that. I will guarantee it. I'll show you in the video here. These are good. They work fine. So in other words, when you put down that stroke of paint, it's an even, you can look at the paint. And I'm going to use a bright, I'll try and use a bright color. I'll figure out which one of these is the brightest to use. And it's a bright color, and you just put it down there and you can see there's no dumping of paint anywhere on that line. That's how you know it's a good brush. That's what you want in a watercolor brush. These are faux squirrel. They are synthetic. Many of you will like these because they are synthetic. We already talked about them a little bit in the last video, but I'm talking about them again now because they're really, really good. I love quill brushes, and these are top-notch for me. The only thing I can't tell you is how long they will last compared to a real hairbrush, because I just got them. So if you want to come back in like 10 years, we'll do this same conversation. I'll let you know how they are. But I don't see a problem with them. They're not even shedding. I was going through the page. I didn't even see shedding happening at all. So none of the hairs are coming out or anything. Sometimes the real hairbrushes, you do see the shedding at first a little bit, which is normal. That's a normal thing. But I didn't see it at all on these. And these are synthetic. Okay, so let me show you from the top-down view these pans so I can explain them a little better, and hopefully show you some of the special qualities, how you can move them around and adjust them, and then they're just, and then how I would use them, because I probably wouldn't take all of these. There's 48 colors here. I know I'm not going to like 48 colors. You know I'm not going to like 48 colors. I'm going to take the colors that I like, probably take 24 colors, like 12 and another 12, and put all the colors that I like to use in here, in those two, and just take the two with me. That's probably what I'm going to do. But let's get into the top down, and then we will get into the painting and the swatching. No, the top down, then the swatching. Then I'm going to show you the brushes. Then we're going to get into the painting. It's a long video. Buckle up. You can watch it in a couple sessions if you need to, but don't worry. I'm going to try and do the best as I can to keep it interesting. We'll see how it goes. I almost forgot to tell you what else was in the box. They do offer this card that has all of the colors in it. You can put the names on there. It's not quite big enough. I mean, it's too big to fit inside under the cover. You can't fold this up and put it under the cover. It's a little bit too big. But they do give you this little swatch sheet, which gives you all the information that you would need. It has the paint name, the number of the paint, whether it's transparent or not, or semi-transparent or opaque. Then it gives you the light fast rating, and then it gives you the pigment information, all on the swatch card. I think a couple of companies need to get some advice from them on what they should be doing with their own paints. I think so. Okay, what else do we have? We have the normal propaganda sheet. So this one is, this just shows you all of the, so here's what they did again that's good, is they give you the color chart of the paints with all that same information on it. And it's all right here. That's wonderful. And it has the pigment information, and wonderful. I'm very happy, and what all the numbers mean and the symbols, and absolutely great. and then the different sets that they have on the back there, because they have these in different sets. You can get, what do they have there? It's like the 24 and then or the 12, 24, 36, and then 48 set. I think they have all of those different sets. The link will be below to go on their site and get the paints. Also, we'll be going over the brushes. I said that, and that link will be down below as well. So that's what's inside the box. You have this, and then you have this. Wonderful. Let's take a look. Okay, so let me show you down here before we get into the swatching. So this opens up, right? Then you just pull it off. It just pops right off. Okay, then you have this one, and this one just pops off, and then the next one pops off. So you have it like this. You can take any of these in any order, and you can put them like this and put them together like that. Now they're together. Okay, very simple. Or you can put them one standing up, one to the side, and then just twist them, and then they lock in place like that together as well. And of course, this is how you open the top end. I should have opened that beforehand, but you open the top like that. So anyway, that you can do that. You can then put these on the side. I think you can do this the same. Yeah, you kind of twist them the same way, and they twist on the side here. You can do that, or you can just keep linking them together however you want. It doesn't matter. You link them together however you want. It's like a fun little puzzle, and that's how it is. So I'm just messed up the order of these. I will figure out what the correct order of these is, and then we'll get into the swatching. But also, look at this. They give you, so this is a tear off. You tear this off, it comes off plastic, and there's nothing listed on here. But on here, it tells you the color, it tells you whether it's transparent, it tells you the light fast, it tells you the pigments that are in it. So I know when I put them down on my sheet, which I have right here, I can match it up. Okay, this is 215, there's 215. I know exactly the order that these are in. There's 211, this is 211, and I just keep going like that, and I'll figure it out. Now, what I'm probably going to do, though, like I said, I'm going to pick ones maybe that I want and just fit them into two. And then when you do that, you can just take the two of them with you. Now, what you should do is, so on the bottom of, okay, this is the back one. So on the bottom of the back one, you have the flip outs. Let me, if I can get them in my fingers under there. Okay, so this one doesn't flip out, it comes off. So this one comes off, and it holds a little sponge in here like that. And you can, while you're sitting there like that, if you want to, you can put this right there. And now you have a sponge to dab on. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I think you can do that, or you can do it on this side. Like, no, that side, I wouldn't do it on that side. I would do it on this side. And I would, oh yeah, okay, so I'd put it on top, and you can dab off on it if you want to, or it'll come off, and you can do it that way. I don't know if you can put it here. I guess you can put it, you can put it anywhere, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, it's just a sponge to dab off on. Okay, hold on here. So then you also take this out, and you have this little water cup here that also fits on here that you can use. I will not be using that because I'm going to use a water brush with it, but this is something you can do if you wanted to, and it would be attached to there, a little water cup, and they give you a little brush. Look at that. It's actually a decent sized round brush. That's not bad. What is it, like a, I don't know if it's a 4, is it close to a 4, maybe 3 or something like that, but you put the end on, and there you go. You have a regular watercolor brush that you can use, and it's a travel set. It comes with it right in the back there. This is interesting. I'm probably going to test out this brush just because I want to see what it does. I'll go wash this out, and we'll test it out and see if it's really, if it's worth what we want to do here. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Now, this is the trickiest thing with these, is that you get them in here and don't bend any hairs. This is actually a fairly big barrel for this size brush, so it's easy to get in here. I'm not even coming close to bending any of the bristles and putting them in here. That's important too. So, and it'll sit back here behind the other things. I have to go back and look at the tape myself because I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I think that's it right there. I've got it. Finally, don't say a word. Now we have this here. Okay, perfect. I knew exactly what I was doing. You had me all confused. This is going to be the bottom one, and then this is going to be the top one. So if you want to change something out, or you like colors and you don't like other colors, you take them out of here, you put them in here. They're half pans. So it looks like can you remove them? It looks like you can. I bet you these will pop out. Yes, of course they pop out. So these are little half pans, so you can move them around, move them into whatever order you want, or if you, when you push them in, they kind of snug down in there, so they're not gonna come back out. So that's good. But you can mix up whatever you want here and put them in whatever order you want, and then if you want to take one with you, you can take one set. You can take two sets. You can take whatever you want. You want to take all four? Go ahead for it. You can just, and matter of fact, you can link them all together just like this and put them in there. You have to do the twist ones first, of course, and have a set like that, or you can have a long set like that. However you want to do it, it's up to you. So I think that's interesting. I think it's very innovative. I think it's very, I like it. I think it's a good idea. Okay, we're going to get into the swatching. Okay, so first I'm going to take this off. I know I have the right page because I labeled them. There's 2 pages here. There's 24 on each. There's 48 total. But at the end, I'm going to put them side by side so you can see the whole thing. So this, I have the 215 here, the lemon yellow, and there's the 215 there. Now, you let me know. I'm going to leave it at this distance for most of it, but would you rather see this zoomed in on just this part so you could see the colors a little bit better? I might do that. I think it might be a little better if you can see that. I think that's better. You can see more of the color instead of seeing the tray next to it. I think it's better for the eyes. You know what I mean? So there is, just so you know, there's a little bit of tack on this part. There's tack where the paint was too. I'd hope that does not affect anything on the paint. It doesn't seem like it. There's nothing on the paint. There's no leftover residue or anything. It's fairly low tack on here. So that's fine. Now off screen, you're not going to see. I'm going to fill these out, this thing out here, just so I have the small sheets to put with them. The one thing I wish they would have done is that it doesn't look like the small sheet will fit in here. So see how much paper is sticking out there? So I might have to trim this on the top and bottom. I can't trim it on the top and bottom very much, but I would like it to fit inside there. So if it was just a little bit smaller, that way if I'm gonna take 2, I could take 2 of these or 3 of these, fold them up, stick them in here, and I know what I have. But as it is now, I'm gonna use this just to have a little reference sheet, but I'm gonna have to take this and make my own little cut sheets in here and put them in with the swatch cards. But it doesn't matter anyway, because really I'm going to be putting in my own colors in here. So I'm not going to use, these are actually, yeah, they're not like powdery dry. They're not tacky, like real tacky. Some of them are a little bit tacky. So they should re-wet pretty easily. Anyway, I'm going to put my own thing in here with the colors that I'm going to put in here. I'm probably going to use 2 of them, like I said, but that's just me. You do what you want. Okay, let me start with this here. Okay, so we're gonna start with everybody's favorite yellow, benzimidazoline yellow. Now, it seems like every company uses this yellow specifically. They use the, I think it's, let me see, Schminke, Holbein, Daniel Smith, Winsor Newton, they all use this color for various things. So this is not a strange pigment. It's not something that you'd say, oh, that's weird. I've never seen that before. And it's a single pigment color, which a lot of people like. There are plenty that most of them are multiple pigments. Don't worry about it. It's fine. That is a bright color. That is not, okay, so this is a company here who is not watering down their pigments at all. And this is not their professional grade, which is what they said, but they also don't call it a student grade. We went over that. And it pretty much stays put where it was. Now, when I did the professional grade, they also did that. Their professional line, there's the same thing. They pretty much stay put where they are. That's fine. So this one is transparent. There's 3 light fastness, which means the best that it can be. So that's wonderful. I'm very happy about that. And here we have the benzimidazoline with the Hansa Yellow. So that's it. Now this is the Hansa Yellow 65. I believe there's several Hansa Yellows, but this is the one that's used by all the other companies. Da Vinci, Winsor & Newton, Schminke uses it, Daniel Smith uses it. They all use these colors. These are common pigments for this color. And this is a color I'm probably going to like a little bit more because it's going to be a warmer color. I can see it already. transparent, which is wonderful, and it is also a 3 light fast, so that's the best light fastness that it can be. So that's good, and that one does not move either. I'm suspecting that these are all going to be relatively the same, where they don't move very much in the water. That's fine. It's just a chemical thing. It's the things they put in the binders with the pigment. That's all that is. The colors, beautiful, bright, vibrant. I'm not going to hesitate at all to use the colors. So far, I've only gotten 2 in. Let's see how far I can go. Okay, next we have a wand brill. So that's something that you'd see in a Holbein is known for their wand brill colors. So this is something that you'd see, just like this is the wand brill light. They have 2 different ones, and they Holbein would have like a 1 and a 2. This is just the light. PW6, that's the titanium white. And the PY110 is, oh, they're trying to stretch my vocabulary is what they're trying to do. You see what they're trying to do to me here. This is isoindolinone yellow. So here's that color here, and this is going to be an opaque color. Because of the white that's in there, it's going to be mostly opaque, and that's what a wand brill is. It's mostly opaque. Really good as a base for mixing skin tones on lighter skinned people, I guess, mostly. You can get this to be a skin tone for darker skin. It's just, you just have to add different things to it, of course, but this is a base for skin color that is very popular. A lot of people use this, or this could be a base for a peach or a rose color, depending on how you're using it. Again, opaque, and it is 3 light fastness, which is excellent light fastness. Okay, Gamboge hue. Now, if you remember from the professional line, the Gamboge hue was a little weird for me. I didn't like it as much because I am a huge fan of new Gamboge from Daniel Smith. So this Gamboge hue is going to be a little different. I already know it. And mostly the reason is, see this PY150? I always tell you that that's a dirty color. For me it is. Nickel-Azo yellow. The Nickel-Azo yellow looks a little bit dirty usually by itself. This has a quinacridone red to it, so it should be a little bit better as far as the cleanliness of the color, but it's going to look a little different for me, probably a little bit too yellow for me, or too dark. Yeah, see, so this nickel, this actually looks like a Nickel-Azo yellow. That's what it looks like. The red, it must be very little in there, because you see how the Nickel-Azo yellow would usually, just like this is doing here, it has that dark brownish area up here that looks a little bit dirty, a little bit muddy, and then down here is a bright, bright yellow. If you take some of this away, that yellow is super bright. Now, if I just used it like this, that is a bright yellow right down here, and I could see using it like that, but because of the whole color, I'm just not a fan. I don't like that it's called Gamboge at all, because that's not really what I think of when I think of Gamboge, and you'll see that separate out, that bright, bright, it's almost like a fluorescent yellow. That is a bright yellow. And just a reminder to everybody, when I say I don't like a color, that's not a comment on the paint. That's a bright color. That's a bright, vibrant color. If you like Nickel-Azo yellow, you'll love this color, because that's what it looks like to me. I don't see a lot of red in it, maybe a little bit to make this a little bit more browner on top, but that's a bright color. Okay, so now we have the Dariolide yellow and the Hansa yellow. So this is a cadmium yellow hue. Again, not a real cadmium yellow. Matter of fact, if you like cadmium yellow, but you wish it was a little bit more transparent, this one's for you. Fully transparent with a 3 light fast. So there you go. It's a brighter version of a cad yellow. I think it's slightly, don't quote me on every brand, but I think this is slightly more warm of a color than a regular cad yellow. I think a regular cad yellow is a little bit more of a true yellow than this is. This is a little bit warm, but again, if you like the cad yellow and you like that effect, but you want it to be transparent, here it is. So that's great. And look at this, cad orange hue. Thank you. That's an orange pigment in an orange color. Imagine someone actually did that. Okay, so a lot of times you see the yellow and the reds mixed together to get the yellow. No, you need the orange pigment. This is a beautiful orange pigment. As a matter of fact, this is the Perignon orange. Perignon orange is very bright, very vibrant. It's a beautiful color. The PY83 is another diaryl yellow. It's just a different version of it. But both of them are used, this 97 and this 83 are different types that are both used by the major brand companies. There's a normal pigment that you see all over the place. All right, let's see. Oh, that is a pretty color. That is a bright orange. That's a pumpkin orange if I've ever seen a pumpkin orange. It's fully transparent, and there are 3 light fastness. Now, a lot of times you're saying, but wait a minute, Pete, how come this set that is not their professional set is full of transparent, fully light fast colors that have using normal pigments? Now, they do have the hue because it's not real cat orange. It's the non-toxic version, but that's what I'm talking about. This is a high quality set. That's what we're going with here. So far, that's what this shows me. We're going to have no problem using it. Now, this is a vermilion hue, and vermilion is a very warm, typically a very warm red color. It's partially opaque or partially transparent, however you want to say that. And we're using here a pyrrole scarlet and then a Hansa yellow. So that's what we're getting here for this color. Let's see what we have, and you can tell this is going to be a warm color just from the pigments that are being used here. Pyrrole scarlet, of course, and then the Hansa yellow. So that is a warm red that's bordering on a warm orange. It's almost a reddish orange, but let's see how it dries. There's going to be a little color shift on everything, so let's see how it dries. But so far, the color shift is not terrible at all on any of these. But let's just see how it dries up here. This is going to be your warm red. How do we know that? Well, if you just take away some of this here, you see that's an orange color on the underneath that there. That's orange. If the underside is orange, it's warm. And you can tell immediately this is leaning more orange than some, but it's what I would expect for a vermilion. That kind of color, I would expect that. The last set we looked at, that vermilion was a little bit more of a true red. It was still a little warm, but it was more to the truer red side. This is a little bit more of an orange. That's what I would expect here. Probably in between the two is where I would expect a vermilion to be. So maybe a little bit more red than this, but either way, it's a good color. I don't have a problem with this. I don't usually use the warm reds. It's not something I'm into at all, but I could use that as a bright orange and just tune it a little bit with another color, maybe with this one here, and do that. Now you can see the Cad Red Pale Hue is using the same pigments in reverse order, which I guess means one's more than the other, but it's basically the same thing. Fully transparent though, so this one is not. It's using the same pigments, not fully transparent. This one is these pigments and fully transparent, but still a 3 Light Fest. So let's see what this looks like, and I can tell already this is definitely going to be a orangey red, like a warm red. Almost, it's going to be very similar, and it is very similar. Using the same pigments, that's all, just in a slightly different amount probably. I would probably only pick one of these for my set if I was going to pick one of these, which I'm probably not going to pick a warm red like this in one of my sets that I put together, but that's for another discussion. Now this is interesting. So it still has that Pyrrole Scarlet in it, but that PR149, it's a Perylene red. I love Perylene colors. I love Perylene reds. So let's see what this looks like here. That's still pretty, that's fairly warm. I think it's that Pyrrole Scarlet that's in there that's making that warmth come out. But usually Perylene reds I am all over. This one, these are very similar so far. I'm going to wait till they're fully dry. But I don't know if you'd want to pick one over the other than the fact that this one is not very transparent. So if you want that quality, you get this one. If you want the transparent one, you have to choose between these two. And that has a 3 Light Fest also. So they're all 3 Light Fest. That's not a problem. And that doesn't really move it. I don't think any of these really move a whole lot. Some of these started to afterwards. This one started to spread a little bit. This started to spread. But when you first initially touch the water, it doesn't pop and spread out. So they do spread through the water just fine. It's just whether it pops through the water immediately and travels. That's all you're looking at here. Okay, now this is me. I'm late to the party on this one. I don't know what a PR3 is. Toluidine red or Toluidine red, Toluidine red. You pronounce it yourself. Anyway, there's a lot of companies who use this. It looks like Block X is a big one. They use this a lot. Winsor Newton uses it in their Winsor red. So this is a popular thing. I'm not familiar with it, so I can't really comment too much on what it's going to look like or how it's going to go. And that's a true red right there. Yep, that is a true red if I've ever seen one. See how these are leaning more orange? This is not real pink under here. This is just a lighter red, which means it's a true red. If it was pink, it would be a cool red, but it's not. I think we're getting to the truer reds here, but this one also is not as light fast and is partially opaque. So if that's not your cup of tea, then you would skip out on this color. It did move a little bit more in the initial, so I expect it to spread a little bit as it sits, but not a bad color at all. It almost reminds me of an anthracanoid red from Daniel Smith, something like that. I think that's the name of it. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking this looks like, or similar to me. So we'll compare some later. Okay, now you are in my ballpark. As soon as you get to the deep red, whatever that is, this is a cad red deep hue, so it's not really a cad red, but it's a red deep. And as soon as you say that, you're getting to the cooler reds, you have just entered my building. So PR254 is the Pyrrole red, not Pyrrole scarlet, Pyrrole red. And the PR188, I love naphthol reds. This is a naphthol scarlet lake. I'm not familiar with it. It's, again, just because I'm not familiar with it doesn't mean that it's not a popular thing. So I think this is a similar naphthol red to some Daniel Smith paints. I know it's used in Da Vinci. It's Old Holland, Winsor & Newton, Holbein. This is a popular pigment. I'm just not entirely familiar with it. Let's see what we get here. Please, this should be a cooler red. And it definitely is. How do you know that? Well, when you look at the edges, you can see right around the edge here that it's a little bit of a pink hue there. That's a cool red. That's what we're going for. That's what we're looking for. It's a little bit to the truer red side, but this is more of a true red. See how this just got to a lighter red, not pink. This is more of a pinkish color. So this is more of and look at that mass tone. That is a cool red. It's beautiful. It reminds me a little bit of like a quinacridone red. A little bit. The quinacridone red gets much pinker underneath, but it's getting close. And it's fully transparent, and you have a 3 light fast here on it. So it's a good color. I would definitely use that. Now I cannot pull any punches here. You're saying alizarin crimson hue. I have a very special place in my heart for alizarin crimson. It is one of my favorite colors. The real alizarin crimson is one of my favorite colors. The reason why it's not used is because it's extremely fugitive, so you don't put it in anything. It may even fade in your sketchbook. So this PR206 is a quinacridone burnt scarlet. I did not know that. I didn't know that that would appear to be an alizarin crimson. I mean, I know what the color is. Daniel Smith uses it, and Winsor Newton uses it, Schminke uses it. They all use it, but it's just, I wouldn't picture that because it's a burnt scarlet, which is usually a little warmer technically if you're looking at it. Now, it just depends on how you process it, so I'm not saying that it's not. But it's a deeper color, a darker color, that's for sure. But it should be a cool color if it's an alizarin crimson hue. And it definitely is a cool color. I would not necessarily call that an alizarin crimson, but I understand what they're going for here. The alizarin crimson is a very cool red, and you see how pink this gets. This is so pink under here that it's putting this one to shame. And it's a very pretty color, and I would definitely use this. I do have to be a little bit harder on it, though, because this is a little bit more of a purpley pink color for the alizarin crimson than a true alizarin crimson would be. Alizarin crimson is usually very dark and deep up in here in the mass tone, and then it gets lighter into that pinker color, but not this, not like this. But I understand what they're going for. A lot of companies use an alizarin crimson hue, or they call it alizarin crimson permanent. That's what they usually call it, because it has an extended light fast here. It's excellent light fast. It's fully transparent, and that's what it's going for, is that cool red on your palette. And it didn't spread it all. I got some up here. We'll take that off there. Okay. It doesn't spread at all. That's good. Now we're into a... So that's it. That's the first 12. That's this set right here. We're done with those 12. I'm going to put them to the side. We're going to pop out the next 12 here. This is the next 12. We'll take this thing off here. And now we're getting into the very cool reds, if not just right into purples and blues. Now we're moving right into a PV19. I don't have to tell you what a PV19 is. You know what a PV19 is. Don't worry, I will tell you. It is a quinacridone violet. Now this is used as in so many different brands. You just name a brand, they're using this pigment. It's a very popular pigment because it's very light fast and fully transparent, and it's a cool red. So that's just something that so many different companies use, and some of them look more pink, some of them look more red. This is called rose. I'm going to assume it's more pink, and it definitely is more pink. So not tremendous tinting strength with this one. It's just, that's just how it is. But it is a very bright pink color, and a lot of people like it because it's hard to find a light fast pink. So if you're a floral artist or something like that, there's a very light fast pink for you. I usually don't have a pink on my palette, but I do have the cool red. So this is, now this has gotten darker. Now that it's drying, up here got a little darker. Still not a alizarin crimson, but less purpley and more of the light red that I was looking for, the deep pink, I should say, that I was looking for, and then the red up here. So this has turned into a color I'm definitely going to put on my palette. This one, not so much. I'm probably not going to have this one on there. We're back to the alizarin crimson hue. This is a rose madder hue, and it's PR206 again. We're back to the quinacridone burnt scarlet. So fully transparent, 3 light fast, just like the other one. Let's see what this one does that the other one did not do. That's a very interesting choice to have 2 of them like that. Again, processing can change everything about a color. Yeah, it's a little bit different. We'll see. It's much more pink up here. It's a lot lighter of the red here, but let's see. Maybe, I don't know. What's the difference here? Why would you have both colors on here? I don't know. I'm trying to maybe see if it can get a little darker. Let's see when they both dry, if how similar they are. I'm just going to remove some of that again because I did on the other one. We'll make it look the same and just see should we have the 2 different colors. I like this one's getting darker still, so I like this one. Let's see what this one does. And we'll put that in. That was not a lot at all. Hold on here. There you go. It's just not really popping in the water. So this one popped a little bit. This one definitely popped a little bit more. So yeah, some of them are flowing through the water a little bit more after they're sitting there for a second, and some others are staying more put, like these here stayed put a little bit. That's okay. Now we're going with a purple egg. Here we go again with the PV19. So we're going back to some other colors and seeing maybe if we can get a slightly different shade of it by how we process it or something. I'm guessing that's the point of this here. This looks like a completely different color though, but let's see about this one. So this is Purple Lake, but it's using the PV19. It's a quinacridone violet. Let's see, it's transparent with a 3 light fast. And this is a completely different color. Look at that. So change the color completely using the same pigment. Again, all due to processing. There's so many different things they can do to a pigment to process it, to make it look different. You can heat it, you can change different, you can just change different chemical properties doing different things, and then they change color and you stop it at a certain point and that's your color now. So it's very interesting. Oh boy, I'm just getting stuff everywhere. I'm just splattering everything everywhere. Don't worry about that. So this mauve is very interesting. You have a quinacridone magenta, and then you have a dioxazine violet. Now, you know dioxazine violet is very, very dark. That is a dark, dark, dark purple. There it is just by itself here. So we'll do that one next. But this one, they wanted to add that little bit to it. Let's see if it lightens it up compared to the one that will be next to it, and just see what that looks like. So here it is here, and that is a very bright color. I'm thinking that that's just in there to give it a little bit more purple, but the other one, we'll see. I want to just see here. Fully trimmed. This is only a 2 light fast. Now, a lot of the purples are hard to get the high light fast too. So that's not abnormal. That's not unique to this set. Most sets, you look at that dioxazine violet, some will say 3, some will say 2. It just depends on how they did that, how they tested that. I'm not really 100% sure. So let's see the dioxazine violet here. This should be an extremely dark color, and it is. So yeah, so okay, so you look at the quinacridone magenta that was added here to lighten it up more pink, and then they just added a little bit of that to just purple it a little bit. This is the fully purple one. You can tell, you know how you can tell? Because if you go fully mass tone here, you can almost get black with a dioxazine purple. And they're definitely not shying away from the pigment on this. So, and you cannot have a giant set like this without an ultramarine. People love their ultramarines. I know I'm a freak. I don't like the ultramarines. It's not my thing. But it is an ultramarine blue, PB29. And there you go. It's actually a little bit more vibrant than the last ones that we looked at. But the last ones, I meant from the not professional last ones, not the very last one. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, very bright ultramarine. It's a warm red and it granulates wonderfully, just like this one is doing here. Not my favorite, as you know. It's just, oh, I put the water all the way over. How'd that happen? Okay, I think this water brush could be on its way out here. Don't worry, I'm going to review the brushes when I do the painting. I'll do the brushes in the painting, not in this. You know how much water I would need to do that? I'm not doing it this time. Okay, cobalt blue hue. So we have the ultramarine blue, and then you have the PW5, which is not as common. The PW5 is lithopone white. Now, I say not as common. There's plenty of companies use it. The Schminke uses it quite a bit. Winsor Newton uses this as their zinc white. So that's, even though it's not zinc white, it's lithopone white. It's a kind of like a duller grayer version of what you would expect a zinc white to be. Because zinc white is a little bit warm. It's a little bit to the warm side. This is a little bit grayer. So that's the only difference there. But let's see what their cobalt hue looks like. Yeah, it's not a bad cobalt blue. It's a little bit warmer, but that's because this is a warm blue that's in here. You see how warm this is? It's more to the red side. Looks a little bit more violet-like in the lighter shades compared to the, not violet. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more to the lighter, almost purpley side because it's a redder blue. There's red kind of built into it. It's a warmer blue. This one is that blue, but there's just some white added to it to make it grayed down a little bit. But still very strong tinting strength in this one. And you have it transparent with 3 light fast. So very light fast for anybody who wants to not have a cobalt in their actual set, but you want the hue version of it, which is just a similar color and lots of granulation because they're using the ultramarine has that's what it has. It's a granulating pigment, so there it is. Now, I don't know, I do want to see though, hold on, let me try something here. Okay, I do have to test this, so I'm going to come back here, and this time I actually will. I know in the last video I didn't, or the video before that I didn't, but I'm going to come back here. Just give me till the end of this page, and then I'll come back here and put that on there and see if it's a little bit opaque, because that's a white pigment. How could it not be even a little bit opaque? And it's fully transparent. I'm not sure how that works. So I'm going to do that a little bit. We'll see how that goes. Now, a Verdi blue. You know the Verdi blue. How do you know the Verdi blue? Because this is the cobalt blue. So you can see the PB28 is the cobalt blue. and used by every company known in this planet. That's just what it is. And it's semi-opaque, just like a Verdi blue should be, just like a cobalt blue should be, with a 3 light fast, wonderful. Let's see how that is. And this should also be a granulating paint. So let's see what happens here. As soon as you touch that, look at it. I'm going to show you this here. As soon as I touch, see, it would look like that. As soon as I touched it, it got this white film on top of it. That's because it's a lighter. As soon as you liquefy it a little bit, that's going to be a lighter color than the other color there. The cobalts are sometimes a little bit lighter in tinting strength, but look at the color, beautiful actual color there. But it's a lighter tinting strength. Almost looks like this should have some white in it, but it does not. And I'm just making sure here with the little sheet here that says Verdi Blue for this one. This one right here, it said that was right over it. It says Verdi Blue. So I'm thinking, because at first I thought, well, wait a second, that looks like it should be this one, which is this blue with a little bit of white in it. Unless the trays were mixed up, that could happen. So if when Phoenix looks at this, I'm gonna send this video to them, so when they see it, they can let me know, was these two mixed up? Because I have no idea. I don't know what their paint looks like in this set, so I have no idea which is which. But I would say that has some white in it. But it also, I know I say that, but this says it's semi-opaque, and this is definitely semi-opaque. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they got it right, and it's just their version of the cobalt blue here is just a little bit darker here. I don't know. But anyway, good light fastness, and move a little bit in the water, not much. Granulating, just like all three of these granulate though, because they all have granulating pigments in them, so I can't tell one from the other. Okay, let's move down here. Okay, so now I'm looking at this as it's drying a little bit, and I'm saying, I see it. So this is definitely a redder blue. So this is the ultramarine. This is ultramarine. This is the ultramarine here. And so let me, you know what, I can do this now because I'm ready to do this. So let me just try doing this and see. I will have to wait. Let me wait, let that dry for a second, but it does look like it's sitting on top of that line a little bit. This may be a semi-transparent or a semi-opaque paint here and not a fully transparent. So that's questionable here. But down over here, I can definitely see as it thinned out just a little bit, there's nothing on top of that line over here. But over here, there might be a little bit on top of that line. So that's something, and I would expect that if it had a white in it. So, but it is a different kind of white, but it can be used as well, some people use it as an alternate zinc white, so that's possible. But there it is. Now this one here, and it's semi-opaque. That's it was supposed to be to begin with. You can get a opaque paint just from having bigger granules or granulation in it, and as well as the bigger granules of the paint, the bigger pigment particles. So always possible. Let's move to the cerulean blue hue, which is PB15. You know that's the phthalo. I love the phthalo. Let's see the phthalo. Now this looks like, I'm going to say this too. See how there's like a film on top of here? It looks like there's a white in here too, but I don't see that mentioned. It looks like there could be a white in here. And yeah, so this is not a pure phthalo blue. I think there's a white in here. I've almost guaranteed that. And it's an opaque. You don't get a PB15. You don't get a phthalo blue that's opaque. So there must be a white in it. Let me see on the sheet here. Yeah, it just says PB15. There is no mention of a white in there, but there's definitely a white in that phthalo blue. That's not a normal phthalo blue. So we got to put the white on there in the pigment if it's in there. Just that has to be there just so people know that it's in there. And I'd say the same thing over there on if that Verdi blue has white. So, and it moved a little bit, not a whole lot. The paint kind of stuck there, but some of the edges kind of spread a little bit. That's fine. Okay, now we're going to a turquoise. Now, and we have, yes, we do. We have the phthalo blue and the phthalo green for the turquoise. And that's a normal turquoise thing. That's what most companies do for turquoise. But I want you to see, now this says it's opaque, an opaque color. That's very interesting. Let me make sure I got that right. I'm even going to look on this page here. And let's look at that turquoise. Yep, says opaque. Yeah, it sure does. Okay, let's see. That's a strange, because it doesn't look very opaque there. So that is, I don't think that's an opaque color. That is exactly what I think of when I think of turquoise. That is a phthalo turquoise to be exact, and that looks very transparent. I don't think that that's very opaque, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong multiple times in my life. Usually I am wrong with everything in my life. But I would say that that is a transparent color, maybe not so opaque. Why don't we try that with a little line? I'm going to just put a little line right here. We're going to come back to that one before I'm done with the other two, or when I'm done with the other two. Now we have a pure phthalo blue. Now they're not saying which phthalo blue they're using, but I'm guessing, especially for here and for here, these are the :3. This is the green shade. So PB15:3, that's the green shade. They don't look like the red shades, that's for sure. That that is a beautiful color. It's a very nice color, but it is, now that one may be the red shade. I don't know. I don't know. That could be, but oh, maybe not. Maybe it's just in that mass tone. It looks like it could be. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see. Anyway, there's not a whole lot of difference. If you put the red shade and the blue shade next to each other, or the green shade next to each other, it's very, you'd have to put them directly next to each other to see it. It's not very plain to see, but I would say almost that looks a little bit more like a warmer blue on the top, like a warmer phthalo blue. Phthalo blue by itself is a cooler color, so I'm not saying it's not. So okay, there we go. Not moving much at all, but a little bit of a spread there, and that's a pretty color. Fully transparent and 3 light fast. There we go. Okay, Prussian blue, PB27. Beautiful PB27. You know what? You can tell when a company uses or likes their Prussian blue. They use the PB27. Do you know how many Prussian blues don't use the PB27? They use like a mix of different colors to get that. PB27 is a beautiful color. I happen to love Prussian blue. It's a little bit more of a warmer blue, which is not usually my thing, but it's a darker, deeper blue, which is my thing. So I tend to like that color. So Prussian blue is very nice. It's a very beautiful color. It's a very deep color, very dark color, and I like it. It's fully transparent, and it has a 3 light fast rating here, and there you go. So first page is complete. We'll go through. I'm not gonna bring them down. Oh, you thought I was gonna forget that, didn't you? You thought I was. So did I. I almost did. I'm not going to though. Okay, ready? That's a fully transparent color. There's nothing sitting on top of that line at all. Fully transparent. That's a mistake. It's definitely not an opaque color. Not at all. That one, yes, I can see that because I said there's a little bit of white in there probably. But this one here, not even a little bit. We're good. Okay, let's move on to the next set. So this set is now done. We're going to move on to the next one. I can hear people now, "I can't watch your video. It's too long." Listen. You just have to either get over it. I'm taking this out now because I am going to put them side by side here at the end. I'm going to cut off this little section here so it looks a little bit cleaner and put them together. Now, you can watch the video in 2 sittings. You don't have to watch it all right this second, right now at the same time. You don't have to do that. I may record this in multiple different sessions, so you can go watch it in multiple different sessions. That's how it is. Okay, so before we move on, I just want to mention I do see that some of these are a little bit less tinting strength. Maybe the pigments on some of them aren't completely saturated, but keep in mind, they're not calling this their professional set, so I'm not evaluating it based on that. This is a travel set. That's what it is. I know we're going to talk about, or we already have spoken about it, but that's fine. What I'm saying is I can see how these might be a little bit less tinting strength, but I think they're going to act exactly like I want them to. So we're going to keep moving. I also have to mention, I was 100% wrong down here. This is not, this one. It has white in it, but I don't think it is sitting on top of the line. I think this is actually fully transparent like they said. I'm trying to see it. I'm lifting it up to my face. It's a little bit darker of a color, but I'm almost positive this is completely transparent, just like they claimed, even though it has the white in it. So I stand corrected. As it dried, when I first put it down, it looked like it was sitting on top of that line. Now that it's dried, I don't think it is. I think it has made it, it's just made to be 100% transparent. I believe so. I really have to take a second look at that. I'll have to do that in another thing here if I do that. Anyway, let me get moving on here with the next set. We are starting off with the emeralds. Here we go into the colors that will annoy, only because I am very picky. You know, I'm very picky with my greens, especially every time I see that PG7. Oh boy, and then the PG36 is right there. So it's we're going to get into. Hold on here. Sometimes when they blend them with enough of the other color, it doesn't stain my brush, but we're going to see how bad that is. Okay, so this emerald here is this is the phthalo green blue shade. The PG7 is the blue shade, just so you know. So the PG7 is a phthalo green, but it's the blue shade. So it leans more blue and has a little bit less yellow in it. And then, of course, the PY175, we have that benzene midazoline yellow again. And that is going to make for a, so you have a blue shade, but you're adding a yellow to it. So that's very interesting. Let's see what happens here. And it's very close to almost a standard phthalo green, but there's a little bit of something to it because it is now opaque, and phthalo greens are not opaque. So that benzene midazoline has made that opaque with a 3 light fast, still excellent light fastness. Let's see how that is. Now this leaf green is actually interesting because usually I do not like the yellow greens. However, sometimes if they can make them earthy enough, I like them. Don't worry, I'll put the water thing there. So we'll do, no, okay. So this is definitely not for me. I am not a yellow green kind of person. I telling you, I struggle with greens. That's something I definitely struggle with. Let's put some water here. We'll dip that in here, and that doesn't move that much. Not too bad, but not that much. And then we'll do this one here. This is definitely not my color, but a lot of people love this color because it's a good mixing color, and it really is. It's just not for me. I don't like. It's not how I like to do my greens. So now this next one. Okay, so now we're getting into the phthalo. It's calling it a phthalo green. But when you go to the 36, you're talking about the yellow shade. So PG7 is the blue shade, PG36, that's the yellow shade. Not usually one that I like, again, but it depends. If it's by itself, sometimes you can barely tell the difference between the two. It just depends. And it's a common pigment that every other brand uses. Oh, that came off of there, huh? I think this little piece of pigment that came off. Anyway, so fully transparent, 3 light fast. So this other one here, oh, I didn't go through that. I didn't do the PY1. So the PY1 is a Hansa Yellow G. It has a lower light fast rating, and that's really the problem here. It usually has like a 2 on the ASTM, but it can go all the way to watercolor. It goes all the way to the fugitive side, depending on how you use that. So the PG7 here, this may be an instance where the yellow might fade out of this color where the green doesn't. Again, they're not telling you to use this and sell it your work with it. They're saying these are the travel sets, so that's what you're using it for. You have to evaluate things based on what they're claiming. Okay, now we have a Viridian Hued again. So this is going to be the standard phthalo with the blue shade. Let's see how it differs here. And it should look a little bit darker. That's really the only thing that you should see here, is that little bit of darkness. There you go. So a little bit darker, and one that for mixing colors, it's one that I might prefer. But do you see the tip of that brush right there? Do you see how green it is? You donkey. That's what happens with these colors. They stain like a mother. Clear, it's transparent. Oh boy, it's got me all messed up. I don't even like to look at those colors. Anyway, it is a beautiful color. It's just not, I hate the staining. I can't stand it. That's coming out of my palette. 3 light fast right there. Now we have a Hooker's Green Dark. Now that's very interesting because Hooker's Green is usually a little bit darker. Let's see what kind of color we have here. Oh, that's a pretty color. That's a color that I will use. That's something, even though I know I see it. Don't worry about it. And that's that isoindolene yellow. That's the one that it's yeah, it's a tongue twister. And then you have the phthalo blue and you have the phthalo green blue shade. So you have those two, almost mixes like a teal, but you add that yellow to it a little bit more. But this is a pretty color. It's actually one that I do like. It's fully transparent. You have a 3 light fast here. Very nice, absolutely good color. Good. This is a green that would stay on my palette. Then we're going to move to the Hooker's Green Light, and the Hooker's Green Light is probably a standard Hooker's Green. But let's see. Maybe not all the time. It could be something entirely different. Let's see. So, yeah, that's what I would consider a standard Hooker's Green right there. That it looks a little bit brighter, and it's a light. So you basically have the exact same pigments. It's just that they're adding more yellow to it, I would imagine. More of the green and yellow versus the blue. Here, maybe a little bit more blue in here. So that's something that I would pick up, I think. Transparent with the 3 light fast, good. Okay, now here we're looking at this permanent green dark here. You have that lithopone yellow again. You have a phthalo blue. And then you have another Hansa yellow. Now let me tell you something about these Hansa yellows. The PY1 is a Hansa yellow G. The PY2 is Hansa yellow GR. The PY3 is Hansa yellow 10G. There's a lot of them. They go PY5 is Hansa yellow 5G. PY6 Hansa yellow 3G. There's so many different ones. It's just I think it does change some things, but not all of them are usually used in watercolor. However, this one I've seen 100 times. So the PY3 has been in there all over the place. That's you could look at Sennelier uses it, and M. Graham uses it, Daniel Smith uses it, Da Vinci uses it. This is used all over the place here. So it's definitely not a concern. We're just going to see where we are here. So this is going to be a permanent green dark. Now, I've not seen a permanent green dark. Usually they have like a permanent green 1 and 2. That's what Holbein does. It's like a permanent green, or is it a spring green? I don't remember. I think it's permanent green 1 and 2. But so the dark one, and it's usually, this is very opaque. I think that's very opaque. That's not partially opaque. That is extremely opaque, and I don't even have to test that with a line. I'm going to tell you right now, that's extremely opaque. But the color combination is very interesting to mix it. You have the white in it, and that white's the first one on there. This whole thing here is opaque. I see it. Only a 2 light fast, and I'm not really sure why that is. It could be because of the PY3. There's a little bit less light fastness. That could be the point there. Let me do this other one here because I didn't do that. I'll get caught up a little bit. I'm being distracted by all the staining on my brush. It's just terrible. Not my favorite green, but not a bad color. I could see using it so long as you don't mind the opaqueness part of it. But if you don't mind that and this color works for you, go ahead and use it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good color. That's great. So now we're using a phthalo green, and we're using a different Hansa yellow. That's interesting. Again, used by so many different companies. Winsor & Newton is a big one, and Sennelier also uses that PY1. So it's a common Hansa yellow to use. It's just that I don't know why one of them is light, one of them is dark. Maybe that's the difference between some of them, but you're using that PG7 here. So if you wanted it to be a little bit more yellow though, wouldn't you use the PG36? That's the yellow shade. I don't know, but I'm not the one who's formulating. This is the color they wanted. And this is permanent green is like a spring green. That's what I always relate it to. Not everyone would say that, but that's what I say. But it's also partially opaque, and that is accurate on here. I can see that. A little bit up here is opaque, but down here is really not. This one, the whole thing, all the way through, has been opaque. So I'm going to say that that's how I would rate it anyway. This is going to throw me for the biggest loop you've ever seen. Olive green. PBK7 is lamp black. That's my favorite black. I love that black. because it leans to the cooler side, which means it leans to the bluer side. Then you're throwing a PB15 into it? Let me make sure I have that correct. 569, yes, that's what it says. Olive green. PBK7 and PB, yeah, you can't see it on the screen there. You probably can't read it anyway. That's a tiny little letters. But it says PBK7 and PB15. That's a phthalo blue and a lamp black. You have a cool blue and a cool black, and you're telling me it's an olive green. I don't understand. This is going to throw me. I will not understand this at all. I won't get it. How does that happen? There's no yellow in here at all. There's no any other green pigment in here. There's no way there's no way. That's a mistake on the manufacturer's list. Let me see if I can find something on a website somewhere. Okay, I'm looking on the website. Let me see if I'm going to take a snap of this and then I'll show it to you. Okay, I am on the website and I did take a snapshot of it. I'll put up on the screen somewhere. The PBK7 and PB15. That's definitely wrong. Someone gave them the wrong information and they just copied it on all the other things on the it's got to be wrong on the sheet here. I don't know, but this is definitely not phthalo blue with black on it. That's definitely not it, but it's transparent. I can see that, and I can see that it's got a 3 light fast, but I think the information was wrong. They need to check that out and maybe fix that on the next package or something when they redesign it or whatever. They're just at least update it on the website. That's all. Oh, we finally have it in a set somewhere. Oh, there's a lot of it in this set. I'm looking at some other. Okay. So you have that isoindolene yellow right there, that PY139. Oh, I got to do this first. Hold on. Before I get there, I'm going to forget to do it every time. You got to let me know. Okay. Oh, that's separated out too. That yellow definitely separated out. There's something in there. Anyway, isoindolene yellow, and then you have the is that how you pronounce it? Isoindolene. Yeah, I think so. Okay, I say isoindolinone sometimes. Just you don't pay any attention to me how I say things. If you have to rely on me for how you say things, then you have bigger problems than anyone can help you with. So the PG36, again, you have the phthalo green, that's the yellow shade, and then a PR10 and a red iron oxide. I know that one by heart because it's my favorite, absolute favorite pigment in any set. I always love the PR101s. Do not let me down. I better love this color. This is a sap green here. I've never seen a PR101 in a sap green. I would like to see how it comes out. It's a little bit more of a yellow for a sap green. I don't see the red in there, but it's supposed to be in there. But it's supposed to be transparent with a 3 light fast. But I can see the other two in there definitely. That color is definitely in there. The yellow definitely in there. I see that in there. I don't see the 101 as much, but maybe it's there to make it a little bit darker in the mass tone or something like that. Just a hint in there, just to tone it a little bit. It could be. I could be entirely wrong about that. I have no idea. Once you start mixing a bunch of stuff together, sometimes that happens, and you just do this little thing just to tune it a little bit, and I can see that. Now, as this dries, it's going to get a little bit more green and a little bit less yellow. That's what I'm seeing so far. So it could look a lot more like a sap green once it's dry. Let's see what happens. This changed quite a bit. This changed quite a bit from the drying process, and this looks very much like an olive green. I actually do like that color. I would use this color over another color for a green if I was going to start tuning. It's like a mossy, like a really mossy green or something. I like that color. I think that's a nice color. Well, here we go. So this raw sienna here, that's a nice combination of colors. You got a red iron oxide and a yellow iron oxide. Again, 2 colors I absolutely love. Let's see how, oh, that's the wrong one. I almost picked up the wrong one. That's the yellow ochre over there. Okay, so let's see. We have, here it is. So to me, it looks like there's a little bit more yellow in this one than there is, and it should be. It's a raw sienna. So raw siennas are they're notoriously light tinting strength, and they're kind of light on there. That's a color of raw sienna. I think that's pretty accurate color for raw sienna. I would take that in a heartbeat. I think that's a good color. It's a nice color. I like earthy tones. I do like the earthy tones. It's a little bit yellow for my taste, but let's see what happens when it dries. But that's a normal color. Here's a yellow iron oxide PY42 for the yellow ochre, and it's going to be opaque. Yellow ochres are notoriously opaque. That's just how they are. It's something about how they grind the material here that makes it more opaque. Now, usually, I will say this, usually your PR101 adds some opaqueness to it. There might be some a little bit in this top mass tone over here that's slightly, but I don't see it that bad. This you can see immediately as soon as I put it on the page. That is opaque. That's an opaque color, 100%. So I fully agree with their analysis of this color. And then you have, oh, there's a little dirty in the brush there. Don't worry about that. But I love yellow ochre, one of my favorite colors, and the raw sienna just is a more transparent version of that. They're usually very close. Sometimes you get a little difference, like this lean a little bit more brown, this lean a little bit more yellow. That happens. That's a normal distinction in all sets that I see. So it just depends on how they decided to go with it. Okay, that is this set here. This set is now done. I'll slide it over here. And we're down to the last set of 12. So see, this is going very quickly. You have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, it stuck to the thing. The cake stuck to the thing. Don't worry, it came right off and there's no residue on it. These are actually, as sticky as these seem, they're not that bad. There's not a whole lot of residue on them. They peeled right off, did not stick to this at all. Okay, so we are now moving to the raw umber, and what do we have here? A brown iron oxide. Let me tell you something. I love all the iron oxides, so I'm a fan of all of them. You put as many as you want in this set. That's what I say. Now, raw umber, you're going to look for a yellowish brown. That's what you're looking for. So the brown iron oxide with the yellow iron oxide, that makes perfect sense to me. And there you go. There's a raw. Now, this is, I think that's extremely opaque. That's very opaque. I would bet anything on that. That looks just as opaque as the yellow ochre in my book. Yeah, I don't even have to test that. That is 100% opaque. All up here. Maybe down in the very watered out area, there's a little bit of lighter spots that it would come through or something. But that is an opaque color. However, what I do like about this, and something that I like about many of the oxide paints, is that it has a lot of granulation, or at least it appears to have a lot of granulating texture down in this part right here. It's a little bit less yellow than, I'm going to take some away here. I want to do that just to see what that looks like, but there's a lot less yellow in this raw umber. This is a raw umber I can get behind because I'm not a big fan of raw umber. I usually like the burnt umbers because I like them to look more true brown, a little bit more to the red side. It is more to the yellow side, but this is not a yellow brown at all. This is, I mean, like a fully yellow brown, and not like that. Not like the raw umbers I've seen that sometimes look disgusting. But this one is very pleasant, and I will use this in my palette. Now this is confusing. We have a raw sienna that is a PR 101. Did I do that wrong? Hold on. It's a burnt sienna, not a raw sienna. Okay, that makes better sense. Sometimes my brain does not work, and, well, it's most of the time. You know that. You see the videos. Yeah, if I can spell it all. So burnt sienna, there you go. It's a burnt sienna. I'm looking at it saying this is a very red brown, and that's a burnt sienna, not a raw sienna. We already had the raw sienna over here. So that was my fault. Don't blame them. That is a, you know what that looks like? That does not look like a regular, now I say that, hold on a second. PR101s vary drastically. So when you see someone call something a burnt sienna, many different companies have, I don't think there are two companies that have the same burnt sienna. But this almost looks like the, oh, what is it? Like a quinacridone sienna or something like that from a Daniel Smith or something. How it's very, very light and more to the red side, but still very light and bright. Not a lot of raw sienna, or not a lot of burnt siennas are like that. A lot of them are a little bit darker, a little bit more to the red side, but to the darker browner side as well. So Everyone has a different burnt sienna. Nothing wrong with this one. I would definitely use it. This will stay on my palette. The only reason this wouldn't stay on my palette is if the next one is a little bit nicer, because that next one is going to be wonderful. I love a light red. I'm a sucker for any PR 101, but the light reds, they're nice. As a matter of fact, one of the sets on I have a Daniel Smith split primary set, even though I'm not a big fan, but I used them for years. That's how I was introduced to Daniel Smith, was through the split primary set. And I'll tell you, the light red from the Cotman set that I previously had, I put that on that palette with them because I like the color. And this is a very nice light red. It's a beautifully reddish, dark, rusty brown color. I absolutely love it. So this will come off my palette. This will stay on my palette. I just love the color, that's all. And it's going to fit right in with the next one, which is going to be an Indian red. Again, Indian reds, one of my favorite colors ever. I love Indian red. The PR 101s, I like them all. You make a color with that, I'll like it. Okay, so let's see. So this Indian red looks a little bit more red than what I'm used to. But they all, again, PR 101. So they're going to change from company to company. Very opaque. We have a 3 light fast here. Red iron oxide. Oh, that's a beautiful color. That's a wonderful color. So I would use both of these on my palette. This is a little bit more orange. And that's what I mean when I say yellow. It's a little bit more to the orange side when you look at it. But this is the right thing right here. Look at that. When you can dilute this a little bit. Now this is fully opaque, but when you dilute that enough, that dusty pink that's underneath it, I absolutely love it. One of my favorite paints I've ever used ever. Let's see what it does here in the water. Usually a PR 101 will move a little bit. It didn't move that much. I used to usually see that in a lot of them. This is a bully color. It's just a bully color that shoves its way through the paint and will push anything out of its way if it gets in the way. But that's okay. It probably because it's so thick and dense and heavy. It just sits there, but it's fine. Okay, so very similar to the raw umber, we have the brown iron oxide and the yellow iron oxide. It's the same setup, but we're looking at a burnt umber. So I'm expecting this to be a little bit more. See how this is brown, a little bit to the yellow side? A little bit, not bad. This one will be more red. That's what the burnt is supposed to be. And it's opaque and 3 light fast. So this is transparent, which is not. This is opaque. This is opaque too. That was just a mistake, I think. Maybe I messed up. Let me look back at the thing here. I mess up a lot. Hold on. No, it's saying that 688 is transparent. I don't think it is at all. But this one is maybe possibly partially, like a partially opaque on here and not fully opaque compared to this one, which is solid. That's a solid color right there, flat and solid, which I like. I'm not complaining about it. I just think that look, still green. Do you see the tip of that brush? All the paints I've been using, still green. That's why I do not like the phthalos. I cannot stand the phthalo green. I like phthalo blue. You can't take a phthalo blue away from me. But the phthalo green, can't stand it. So you can see this is tuned a little bit more to the red side. Not much. Not much, but it's more like a true brown, where this is more, it has a slight tint of yellow in it. This is a true brown, absolutely beautiful color. I like that color. That's it. Now Van Dyke brown. I do love a Van Dyke brown. And here you have the brown iron oxide with a red iron oxide. Usually a very deep, deep, dark color. Not as much as sepia, but very dark. Let's see where we go with this one. And this one's saying it's very opaque, and it has a 3 light fast here. So let's see. Yeah, very deep, deep color. A little bit more yellow than I expected that to be. It's not yellow at all. Don't take it that way. It's like the burnt umber, but it's not as dark as I thought it would be. I guess the PR 101 it does lean a little bit red up here, but down here it's a little bit more of a lighter brown than I would expect for a Van Dyke. But Van Dykes can vary as well. Every company, you look at the Van Dyke brown, they're not all standard across the whole series. Okay, Let's see what this does. Okay, it stayed put. And now we get to the sepia. Now the sepia is going to be dark. That's a deep, deep dark color. That's what we're looking for here with this sepia. It's something that I use along with the Payne's Gray. So I'll put the Payne's Gray and the sepia next to each other. Okay, you have the lamp black in this case. And then you have the PBR7, which is the brown iron oxide. So you're taking that and adding the black to it. That's a standard thing. They add black to it. I'm happy to see that they're adding the PBK7 to it because that is my favorite black, and it should lean a little bit cooler. But yeah, look at how dark that is. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful color. Mass tone, because it's so dark, you will not see a line under that. But under here, maybe, I think it's partially, maybe a partial opaqueness, I don't know. Again, I was wrong about the one on the other page, so maybe when this thing dries, it'll be a lot more transparent. I think this one is a lot more transparent than what they're saying here, but that's okay. But beautiful color. What you do is, if you want to take any color and tilt it, you want to just make it a little bit darker of a color, but tilt it to the blue side, you add the Payne's Gray. You want to you use it almost like a neutral tint, but I don't use the neutral tint usually. I use the Payne's Gray, but you use it the same way. Or if you want it to appear a little bit darker but a little bit warmer, just a touch of this sepia to it, and it makes it warmer and more to, which is more to the brown side in that case. Even though it's not a yellow brown, it just makes it that little bit, and it's a nice way to tint them out. And if you want to do a 2-color challenge, try painting with just sepia and with just Payne's Gray and just those two on your palette and see what you can come up with. I've done that before, and it's nice. I enjoy that. So this is interesting for an indigo. We're talking the lamp black, which is a true black, a little bit to the cooler side. It doesn't have any brown in it really. A PB29, so you have your ultramarine, and then you have a phthalo blue. So you have a warm blue and a cool blue with a black. So this should be a little bit more, maybe like a neutral blue. I don't know. Usually indigos lean a little bit to the warm side, so they lean a little bit red. Let's see. That's a really nice color. I don't think I've seen a nicer indigo. That's a beautiful color. I'll tell you what, this is probably my favorite indigo color I've ever used. I don't like the Daniel Smith version, and you know how much I like their paints, but I don't like their version of indigo. It leans way too much to the red side. I don't like that. This is a beautifully tinted indigo. I do really like that. Very nice. I don't think it's fully opaque either. I wouldn't bet that that's fully opaque. I think that's maybe partially opaque. That's how I would rate it. If you like to do landscapes with stormy clouds and things like that, this is your color right here. This is what that is. It's a stormy ocean landscape is this color right here. Beautiful. Okay, now we're going to look at this Payne's Gray down here. Now this is what I was talking about with the sepia. Let's see this. Let's see. This is going to be more blue. It should be anyway. That's definitely the case. I don't know what their Payne's Gray is going to look like, but it should be more. This should be more blue than this Payne's Gray. But you do have the same exact color palette that you have here. It's the exact same color palette. This one is saying opaque. This one says transparent. I don't know how that happens, but it's the exact same color. Look at this. This is more of a true gray color. Very interesting. Usually you get a Payne's Gray and most of them lean to the blue side. This has a little bit of blue in it. It does. But this is a very true gray color here in this mass tone down here. I mean in the watered out area here, the diluted area. The mass tone just looks black. So, and you can use it that way. You can use this as a black with mass tone and then just kind of dilute it out a little bit. It gets a little bit more to the blue side. But wow, that is a beautiful color. There's granulation in there and everything. Very nice. I think that I think that this is a great Payne's Gray. Now I like the Daniel Smith Payne's Blue Gray. I do like that color because I don't keep an indigo on my palette, so I do use that. But here, this would be better to tint with than this would. I mean, than the Payne's Blue Gray would be, only because it's just tinting it down and I know, go ahead, there's some watercolor purist out there who's telling me you never tune your color with black. Just leave me alone. This is more of a black into gray than it is anything else, and that's fine. And I like to use black, so you do what you do. You don't tell me to do what I do. This is not going to be on anyone's favorite list, or at least not on a lot of people's favorite list. I do think this color usually leans a little bit more to the brown side. Let's see how it is. But the PBK 9, this is a bone black. This is an animal burnt bone black right here. And yeah, you can see it's a much warmer black than this is. You see all the brown in here. Yeah, there definitely tints to the warmer side. So that's a standard. I didn't do the thing. That's a standard thing. It's opaque, and it does look opaque. Look at that. I think that's a beautiful color. I would use that as a black on my palette. Absolutely 100%. And I don't like the brown or blacks. That's just not for me. I don't ever use these kinds of blacks. So this one might come off my palette when I use it, but this one is staying for 100%. That's staying on there. And then we have the lamp black, but so this is called lamp black. I gotta check the thing here. Hold on. Yeah, that's what it says. PBK 6 is that shungite. This is a natural, intense graphite color. That's what this is. They say it's a mix of crystalline silicate. So I mean, that's, you're talking about regular, this is a graphite, but that's just strange that they're calling this lamp black when it's the shungite. They have the PBK 7. You can just use the PBK 7. But this is a very nice, look, see how that is. That's 100% opaque. That's for sure. It looks just like a, let me see here if I move this away a little bit here. I just want to see. Yeah, so this looks just like the lamp black would look. It's just like that. Oh, there's a little hair in there. Anyway, it's just like that, and it's so thick. I mean, it's just, you can put that down for your ink lines if you wanted to. That is a thick black, and I love it. It's a beautiful color. I love this color black. I would definitely use this over this any day of the week. But it's just strange that it does. Like I said, I guess it's not strange. It looks like a lamp black, but that's not what it is. All these other PBK 7s all over the place, they're the lamp black. But this one here is that shungite, and it's a natural graphite intense black. That's what it is. Okay, we're going to do the white here. You noticed on the last video, I put the line down and never did the white. Oh boy, people must have been freaking out. Anyway, so it says Chinese white here, the PW5, this is that lithopone. Usually the Chinese white is a, well, it depends. No, I can't say that. I was going to say usually you go with a zinc white or a titanium white, but it depends on the company. Some of them use the zinc white as a Chinese white. Some of them use the titanium white as a Chinese white. This one's using a lithopone as a Chinese. So it doesn't really matter. That's fine. Usually, I would say for most of the companies, they're using they're going to use the titanium white as a Chinese white, but that's okay. So I have two different lines here. And, oh, that did not, you know what? There's not a lot of water on that brush. Maybe I didn't get the paint on there enough. And sometimes whites are difficult to re-wet, but it doesn't look like it's hard to re-wet. It's on the thing. It's just not very opaque. So it's supposed to be fully opaque. I don't think it is. That's going to dry, just like a lot of whites. This is going to dry, and that line's going to come through. So you see that little dot there where that line was not covered? Let's see if next to it looks any different. And it's opaque-ish, but not extremely opaque like you would think. And as it dries, white always, as it dries, gets so much lighter and more transparent. So let's see how that is here in a second. So just real quick, the only one I really want to compare is, look at this gamboge hue here. This is the Nicolazzo yellow. You see that dirtier color here, but it does have the PR209, which makes this a little bit darker up here. That's about it. But look in the light area, that bright yellow, there it is there. It's just, this is the nickel azo yellow. That's what the 150 is. And this is the pigment PY 150. So that's just what it is. And this is what a gamboge looks like. This is the new gamboge from Daniel Smith. My favorite gamboge color is this color right here. I have it on almost every palette. I love how dark orange it can get up here, and then how bright yellow it can get down here. You put it in the sky as a sunset, it looks beautiful. I don't think you'd do that with this one, but I think the closest thing you'd do is probably mix this cad yellow here with the cad orange hue, mix those two together, and you'll probably end up with something very similar to this. I do want to do one more here. So this yellow ochre here is a beautiful color. There's a PY42. The same PY42 here, but this is going to be, you can see that there's a slight difference, not a whole lot. Mars yellow is my favorite type of yellow ochre. I love the Mars yellow from Daniel Smith, but this is right there. This is very thick, very opaque, very vibrant, very concentrated. I don't see a whole lot of difference here between the two. And I don't know if the PY42 is just a less expensive pigment that they can take even the grade that's not their professional grade and just put as much pigment in there as they do with anything else. There are a lot of those in this set. Let's take a look at some of them. Okay, let's take a quick look at this here. So some of these are a little bit lighter in tinting strength. Some of these reds here, some of these here, I can see that. This turned into a beautiful color. I absolutely love it. I like it as much as I would like any other alizarin crimson hue that was ever used, but it is a little bit more of a different color than an alizarin crimson. That crimson means it gets really dark, and so this needs to be much darker in the mass tone, but really it's a very pretty color. It's going to stay on my palette. So this is a beautiful color. But some of these, like here, maybe here and here, a little bit lighter tinting strength than what I would expect if I was judging this as a professional line, is what I'm saying. But not much. They're not bad. They're close. They're right there. Some other colors like these, like this here, these are bright, vibrant. This here, these are bright and vibrant colors that I would expect on any professional grade here. So you're not missing a lot here. You can get into your sketchbook and not even think about, oh, that's not really the profession. You don't even have to think about that. Same thing goes over here. You have some of these colors which are a little different than what I thought they would be, but I do enjoy them. I like a lot of these. These colors are great, and I would put together maybe a set of 24 of these that I would absolutely love, and I'll put them in a set that, or I'll put them together so that they're in, you know, two of these things here. So there'll be two of these full of all the colors that I love, and that's what I'm going to usually break out and take out and use. And I'll probably leave them in an area where I'm going to grab them and be able to go with them, because I do like the way that they're set up, where if I had two of them, oh, how does that go? I got to, oh, this way. Okay. If I had two of them, I would put them together like that and just leave them there and work off of them. And I have no problem doing that. And then when I'm done, you just take them apart and then you restack them, and then you just close them up. Make sure that the one of them has the one with the lid. That's all. They actually all have little dots on the side where the lid would be able to fit if you decided, oh, I didn't want to use that many, and I didn't want to take them all out of the first one because I like the second one or something like that. But there's little dots here where this thing would go in, and you can put that thing on. There you go. It's a better picture there. The little dots go right in those little holes there, and you can put this lid on any of these. They're the same pan. I like the little branding there. I don't do a lot of mixing, so I probably wouldn't even use this. I don't do a lot of mixing on the actual plastic here. Usually when I take a travel set with me, I'm mixing on the page. That's what I'm doing. So that's usually what I would do. But I will go ahead and take probably two of these, put all the colors that I like in them, and then take them with me. Now what I'm going to do is get into the actual painting. I know you're saying it's about time. I'm going to get into the painting, point out a couple of things about how I'm using them, and I'm also going to break out this set from Phoenix that they sent me, which you saw in the last video, all these quill brushes here. You saw me use the big ones. I don't think I'm gonna do that because I'm not gonna do the same kind of painting. I'm gonna do a smaller painting. So I might use something like this, maybe a size 3 or something like that, but I'm gonna probably pick one, stick with it. I am going to quickly show you these and do a small demonstration of how much water and paint that they hold. That's something I will do, and I won't do every single one of them, but I'll show you some things you can do with these brushes. Let's get into that. All right, so I'm gonna just start here with the 0. I wanna just show you how much paint and water the 0 will hold. Now I do need a little tray for this because what I'm going to do is I'm gonna use a bright color. Let me put this up here so I don't stick my hand in it. I'm going to use a bright color here. This dioxazine violet's a beautiful bright color. Everybody loves it. It's wonderful. And we're just going to keep putting, and you see how much paint it's picking up just going from the pan to the plate every time, not dipping in more water. I will dip in more water though to get a little bit more on there. And there's a ton of water in this. So I just wanted to show you quickly. Let's go ahead and get this on here. Now there's a lot of water here, so I'm expecting it to be slightly diluted on the page. But let's see how much the 0 holds. And you got your full line there. And I'm just going to make a couple of passes. If I skip, it's not because the paint's running out. I'll let you know if that happens. But really, it's just because my hand just lifts off the page because I'm trying not to put the belly on the paper, which is something I have an issue with. Sometimes I lean over stuff and the belly hits the paper. I mean the brush belly. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, this is not running out of watercolor, and no matter what I'm doing here, there's just so much water in the 0. So these are synthetic brushes. You can see it's starting to dry out a little bit now, starting to maybe come down a little bit, but look how far I'm going with a single dip of color here. So let me go ahead and get some more color here. I'm gonna put a little bit more paint in there, make it a little bit more concentrated. Not that it needs it. It's a very bright color, very nice. Make sure that it's all soaked up in there. And you can just put down this color here. That's not bad for a 0. You know what I mean? This is a 0 brush. Okay, so if you had a something else that was comparable, you're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna use this a little bit. Now let's go ahead and use something different here. I'm running out of paper in this book. I have to get another one very quickly. So let's use the biggest monster, the number 8 that's in this, and I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try and pick up a little bit of paint with it too. There's just so much water, it's gonna flood this palette. That's okay, don't worry about that. So I'm going to try and get as much of this paint in here as I can. And I just want to show you, I'm going to go back over some of this here, and it's harder to get those thinner lines there because the tip is just so, it's sharp. You can get the thinner lines. I'm trying to get the thinner lines there, and there's so much more water in here that it did thin out the paint a little bit. But I guarantee you I can go over this whole thing and not have a problem. And one thing that you can do with these is you can put the belly down onto the page and just get a slightly different. So if you're going along, you can put the belly down. Now that all that water just dropped out there onto that, you see that, and it drops some of the extra paint on there. Look at the tip. See how it's crooked? When you move it around and you do stuff with it and then it's crooked, that's because it's a faux squirrel. That's what it's supposed to do. Isn't that wonderful? So it is fully synthetic, but it is a faux squirrel brush. So it's going to act like a faux squirrel brush. That's what it's going to do. It's going to act like it's a squirrel brush. Now I'm dipping quite a bit on here. You can actually, because of the size of this brush, you could probably dip on like 3 or 4 pans at a time, and that would be very interesting. But put that in here. There's just so much water that it's hard to, unless I build up this puddle beforehand, it's hard to get a deep concentration of the watercolor with this brush because it's just so much water in it. So it's going to come off a little bit thinner. I'm trying to do that, get a little bit more of that thicker. Now, One thing that you will see people do sometimes with quill brushes, besides do this little run, let me see how concentrated it is now. Oh yeah, much more concentrated now. Okay, so one of the things that you see them do sometimes is, let me switch this page here. There's a lot of water on that page. I'm probably not going to flip it in this second. Hold on here. If I just tip this over and I do that without actually touching anything, that'll work. Okay, so let's see. If I just take this here, so sometimes you'll see people do same thing that they do with those calligraphy brushes. You go straight down, which is hard to see in the camera. You can't see it because my hand then blocks it, but you just kind of come along and then you put the belly down and then you lift it up. Now, when you touch the belly down, you see this kind of water dump. However, if you are just painting, just like I was painting before, and you start making shapes and things, notice there's no water dump in here. There's no, or a paint dump. There's no heavy constant. So usually you'd see it when you first touch the page. If this was a bad brush and this was not a good brush, as soon as you touch the page, you would see a big dump there, or you'd see a big dump when I pull it off, you'd see a big dump there. So at the two ends, that's where you'd see it. If you see it here, it's because I let the belly touch, and that's what happens. When you let the belly touch, the water does dump, although the paint does dump in on the page a little bit. But everything else, these are acting perfectly just like they need to for any kind of watercolor brush. That's how you want it to act. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you one more time with the smaller brush so that you see that. Now, when I do the painting, I will be using some of these. I will be using at least one that I will pick to do it. I'll probably pick like maybe an in-between, like a 3 or a 4 or something like that, and try and do the whole painting with it. I want it to be small enough to hit these wells. These wells are not massive half-pan wells. But let's see here. So same thing. I'm going to pick up as much paint as I can on this brush. Get a little bit more concentration here. That's wonderful. And then same thing. So when you first touch the page, there would be a dump there, and then there would be another dump when you pick it up. It's not there. It's a perfectly smooth line. And you can tell that there would be a dump if you touch the belly down and then you pick it up. Now you see the dump. That's a normal thing. That happens with every brush you could ever use. The thing is, there's so much water in these that it will dump if you just lay it down on the side like that, because that's where all the water is held. But as long as you just touch the tip of that brush to the paper, you will never have that giant water or giant color dump. I call it a water dump, but you know what I mean. It's a color dump. You will not see that happen like that. So you'll see this one happened a little bit. Did that happen? Or did I? Well, hold on a second. Let's see. It didn't do it in anything on this other page, so I can't see that it's doing it now, unless I hold it on there or do something. So I'm not seeing it now. Yeah, I'm not seeing it now. I must have stopped and touched the paper again or something. I don't know. 'Cause I'm not seeing it here. I did see it on these two, this one and this one right here. But it's not happening on anything else. So I must have done something here. But I'm saying you want a good watercolor brush, that's what you want. You want a nice even stroke, no color dumping unless you do something stupid, which is probably what I did there. So excellent brushes. I would use these if you were didn't have a round and you were curious of maybe I don't know if I want to buy a whole set to get. I got to go get a round of this one and a thing of this one. This set has this 0 here. This is like a 4 round. That's what I would say this is. So you could have like a 4 round brush, basically equivalent. There's a little bit of a different shape to the belly and things on a round, but you can use something that's a small quill just like you can as a round. This, I would not say this is at all like a round because I've never seen a round that fat in my life. That's a big boy right there. That one went to the buffet several times. So this one is just like a normal, like a normal 4. That's about what you'd see. So I recommend this set. I think these are great brushes. Let's get into the painting and I'll show you some painting with it. So the first thing that I want to say is looking at this page, looking at the paint on the page, bright, vibrant, I have no problem with them. I would highly recommend this set to anyone that was looking for a travel set. There's nothing, it acts exactly the way that I wanted it to. It acts just like any other watercolor. It doesn't act differently. So I would definitely say, yes, This is a good set to get, to use, to try, to play with, any of those things. You could do that with this set. I don't have a problem with it. The second thing that I want to say is that if you use a travel brush, this is very important. Listen to this. If you use a travel brush, don't go, you're going to go around, you're going to have to use it, and then you're going to have to put this back in here, and you're going to have to store it like this. Just keep this in mind. It's still wet in there. So whenever you get to, you put it in there at the last second when you're on your way somewhere. As soon as you get there, I don't care if it's your house or someone else's house, as soon as you're inside, open it up and leave it separate. Don't put it back on there like this and let it dry like this, because this is still wet in here. Don't do that. Keep them completely separate and just set them down, let them dry. If you want to, you can take a cotton swab and put it in there. Luckily that you can't see it. I don't think you could ever see that. Oh, there you can. Can you see a little hole in the back? There you go. So they did put a little pinhole in the back, so there's not going to be like a water buildup in here. It will drip out if there's some in the brush dripping down. But you still have to separate this and leave them separate. Let them dry completely. Put a cotton swab in there if you want to dry that up if you want to. And let this completely dry before you put that on there. Don't just stick it in there and be done with it and put it in your bag and forget about it. You will get mildewed and moldy. The brush will get ruined. You don't want to do that. And then you're going to stick it in your paints and that's going to get mildewed. Don't do that. Instead, make sure that you have this, it's just fine. You just leave it, let it dry out, and that's fine. I wasn't a huge fan of how the brush worked, but I didn't really give it much of a chance. I only used it for two little swatches there. But I used the number 3 brush in this one, and I really do like it. So this is not a number 4. This is more like a number, it's close to an 8, maybe like a 6 or an 8. So it just depends on the thickness of the belly here. I think maybe a 6 it could be. This one is like at least an 8 in a round. I'm talking about when compared to a round brush. So this is at least an 8 when you're talking about a round brush, maybe even more. But absolutely beautiful. I loved using these brushes. When I used them in the last one, I used the big one and the little one. I used the 0 and the 8. Wonderful. This one I chose to use the 3 just to get a different size in there. Absolutely wonderful. And you'll see in the beginning where, yeah, I was dumping water because I was pressing the belly against the paper. So I was dumping little puddles, but I was doing it on purpose. When I do this, I like to create little puddles of different colors, and then sometimes I even charge in. You saw me do that, charge in some other colors inside the other paints because I want to get the puddles in there. That lets me know where to put my lines. I put all of my detail work based on the paint that shows up. So I let the paint do its thing, and then I just put the lines in where it tells me to. That's basically all I'm doing. And you'll see that when I do the ink, when you get to that part if you haven't already. These paintings are extremely quick. The longest thing is that they take time to dry. So when I do a painting like this and I just put colors kind of swirling around each other and intermingle with each other, and then I go ahead and put in the line work afterwards, it doesn't take, the drying time is the longest time. That's really what it is. Those are fairly quick paintings. I like to do these paintings because I love to see where it goes. I have no idea. I don't plan this out. I didn't even have a composition for this one. I just knew I wanted to start in the top left and come down a little bit, but I didn't even plan on filling the whole page. I was just going to do a section of it. Then it ended up where I just started putting in more colors and wanting to try more things and different combinations. So I just kept going. And this is what I ended up with. And the paint worked wonderfully. It worked exactly the way I would want it to work. I had no problem with the paint. Everything that I did with it, the colors are popping. I don't understand. When I swatched them out, they maybe looked a little bit like maybe they weren't as saturated. When I did the painting, plenty saturated. And there was a lot of water in this brush. So when it first started coming out, I was like, okay, maybe it's a little bit weaker, tinting strength. No, it was fine. There's nothing wrong with the paint on this paper. So like I said, highly recommend this set to anyone who is looking for a travel set. You can pick, of the 48 colors, You can pick 12 if you wanted to and just put them in one thing and take that with you. If you're someone who likes less of a palette, you can create your own split primary palette if that's what you're into. I'm not, but you can. Or you can just, and I just used any of the colors from any of the sets. I did not pick my 24 colors, because that's what I'm probably going to pick, is 24 colors that I want to use out of the set. I'm going to put them together in 2 of those, and just that's what I'm going to take with me. But very nice set. I really enjoyed it. I will be using this set more and more because it was fun. I'm just going to leave it somewhere. I'll probably leave it somewhere by my back door. So if I'm going to go outside and sit down and paint a little bit, I have it right there. I'll just grab it. And they're not going to sit in my studio. That's fine too. I'll have a water brush. I already have a water brush down there, and I have a couple other paints down there as well. But I will just leave these on the table and see how often I grab for them. I don't see a problem with them. I think I'll grab for them plenty. I really liked, there was the lighter purple and the darker purple, that combination. It's in the all the way to the left and then all the way to the bottom right. I thought that combination was great. I actually like that really. I'm I do not usually put purple on my palette. I think I'm going to put those 2 colors on my palette because I really like how that came out. I think they complemented each other so well. On that very bottom, I did the turquoise with the Payne's Gray. No, the indigo. It was with the indigo, and the way that those 2 came together was very nice. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I did use the Payne's Gray up on the top right, and I think that came out. That's a nice gray. If you're gonna do just maybe a little sketching and then put in some gray, this gray, this it's a beautiful Payne's Gray. It's a true gray. You'll get a real gray from it. It doesn't get too dark, but it stays light enough. If you wanted it just tuned a little bit more to the blue side, then use the indigo, because that one was nice too. And if you wanted to use the sepia, you could use that too as a tone drawing. But and I really enjoyed I did use the sepia in the, I think that was the sepia. I put it in the all the way on the bottom right. I did a little bit of yellow ochre, and then I put some of that sepia into it and it lightened it up because I barely put some in. I think that's the one that I used. I'm almost positive. I could be wrong. I might have used the raw umber instead, but I don't think I did. I think I used the sepia on that one. But wonderful colors. They worked well together. I also liked, if you're looking at the center piece there, on the bottom part of the center, it's like a dark, the Payne's Gray, or I think I used the indigo, but I put that in with the, I think that's in with the Indian red, or it's with the other color that's not the Indian red, the one next to it. Anyway, beautiful colors. Everything went so well together. Everything complemented each other wonderfully. I love the way that it looks. I think that it came out fine. I was happy at the end saying, okay, yeah, I created this and it looks fine. And I hope that you would enjoy something like this, because I'm telling you, it's a lot different when you don't know what you're going to do. And if you've never tried to do a painting like this, please try it. It's incredibly fun. It's one of my favorite types of paintings to do. I don't know what it's going to look like. I just start putting stuff. Sometimes I see eyes and then I make it an eye. Or I see a mouth and I make it a mouth. I didn't do that in this one at all. I just left it kind of the way that it was and let you figure out what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't see much of anything other than kind of like a big, well, I guess from your side, it looks like a giant crab claw holding something in the middle of it, like a little seashell with like a red pearl or something. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it could be anything. But you tell me what it is. You tell me what you see. And some people see some weird stuff, I'll tell you what. But if it wasn't for you seeing it, I wouldn't look at it and see it. So sometimes you say, hey, that looks like this. And I look at it and like, oh my goodness, it does look like that. I had no idea. It didn't even dawn on me that it could be that thing. But it is. So the whole point of what I was trying to say is I thoroughly enjoyed these paints. And I really like these brushes. I'm going to use them all the time because they work extremely well for what they are. A synthetic brush, you think I've used synthetic squirrel hair before and I didn't like it because it was too limp. It didn't hold any, it was just, it would dump the water. It was terrible. These are wonderful. They work exactly the way that I want my brushes to work. So I will use them all the time, and I do thoroughly enjoy them. You'll see them more here on the channel. In the future videos, you'll see plenty more of those. And you'll see more of the paints as well, I'm sure. Just like these people popping up on the screen here. You'll see them all the time. Every video, they're at the end. Just check it. If you stay till the end, which you should. I don't know why you already cut out of here. It's not like this is a long video. This is a very short video. This is nothing. This is shorter than any kind of TV shows that you watch. I promise you that. So, thumb up the video if you're going to maybe take a look at these and see if you could use them and play with the Legos and put them together in weird shapes and funky little arrangements and just use them. And if you took them out to the park somewhere and you started assembling them and made it like a straight, like an L or something, and laid it, you fold your leg up on, just like you're crossing your leg, and then you make it in an L and make it along the length of your leg. People would look at that and say, what is that? What are you using over there? That's interesting. So anyway, let's see what kind of stuff I said here to make a fool out of myself this week. So Phoenix sent me their travel set, which I absolutely, look, this time, the information's up there. I see it this time. The other video I didn't see. Oh no, it's not the information. It's just the color names. Never mind. There's no color information up here. I hope it's inside. Okay, so we do get the swatch chart here. It's a little bit small writing. I can see it. That's fine. You can see it. It's just a little bit small writing. I don't want to bring that up. Let's talk about that. And of course, you got the propaganda sheets that's in every watercolor. Oh, look at that. I did the swatching. You don't know that. You're looking at the intro, and I already did the swatching. You didn't know that. But now you're peeking behind the curtain. You can't look back. I was looking for the information off the website, and I was having to go look at that. You'll see me when I do it. Dumb. It was right here. It's just on the set right here. That's why they include the propaganda sheets, to let you know all the propaganda. But this is not... Anyway, don't worry about it. And of course, we have all the brushes here. What is that? Oh, it's not... I thought it was chipped. It looks chipped. It was just the big 8 that's on there. But it was to the side, and it was hidden behind another brush, and I thought it was a big chip on the brush, and I didn't see that. But I didn't see that last week, so I thought maybe I was losing it. There's no chips on these. They look wonderful. All right, let's do that again. Right next to each other, and they do, hold on, they do lay flat. It's just I had the top on. So you see that they lay flat like that. But anyway, they're just like Build-A-Blocks for an artist. Build-A-Blocks? Legos. It's like Legos. Oh my goodness, what moron calls them Build-A-Blocks? Oh, let's do that again. If you can't laugh at yourself, you have a miserable life, let me tell you. You better be able to laugh at yourself. If you would like to join our community, go to illustrationsbypete.com. You can come in, you can put your own artwork on the site and promote it. You can find some inspiration in the free reference photos. You can just use them however you want in your artwork. You do not need to credit me. Or you can come into the forums and talk to some people and maybe give some advice and maybe find a little bit of information that helps you. So come check us out. All right, that's about it for me. I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.